Hello dear tea friends from around the world, and welcome to a new class with me, Stéphane Nerler, the founder of the Tea Masters blog and the tea-masters.com tea boutique. Welcome if you are in Canada, in the US, in Mexico, in the UK, maybe if you see me not live but on replay on YouTube, in Australia, in the Fiji Islands, in Thailand, in Japan, anywhere around the world where there are English-speaking tea friends. Welcome to this class about FuShou Shan Oolong. Today is going to be a class about one of my favorite teas from this spring. It's one of the highest in altitude, and it's also called the President's Tea. And we are going to talk about and see why it's called the President's Tea. You will know everything about it. Okay. Where do we start? Where is FuShou Shan? FuShou Shan Farm, it's the name of a farm. It is located very close to a village called Lishan, which from an administrative point of view is located in Taichung, Xian, so Taichung County. But if you look at it, it's really at the edge of Taichung and very close to the east coast and to both Hualien or Yilan. So actually, you would go to Lishan from Taipei by going either through Yilan, or you would go there to from Hualien on the east coast. Actually, it seems much closer to Hualien or Yilan than to Taichung from a geographical point of view, but from an administrative point of view, it still counts as Taichung, which can be a bit confusing because it's really so much in the middle of Taiwan, maybe much more in the east than on the west side where Taichung is located. Sorry, I have a clock. I hope you don't hear it. So now this part is really very difficult of access, and so the interesting story is now how did we get access to this very high altitude located place. Its maximum point, I got two figures, either 2,580 or 2,614. When you go online, you get these two maximum figures for altitude for the tea farms. So it's very close. So you see, it's really very high. Let's remind ourselves the highest altitude dialing is 2,680, or it used to be. So at 2,580 or 2,614, we are really very close to this altitude. But as I said, so it's really very high located. This is in this mountain range in the center of Taiwan that is very difficult of access. And how did we access this? Actually, for this, we have to go back in history to Chiang Kai-shek, who came to Taiwan around 1948-49 with his large army. And this army was still active in the 50s, fending off the shelling from the People Liberation Army in mainland China. The communists, they were still shelling the Quemoy and Matsu Islands that they wanted to retake. And Chiang Kai-shek on his side, he also wanted to retake the mainland. At that time, Ho hoping maybe for a counter-revolution there, and for his army to go back, maybe with the help of the Americans. So he was maintaining a very large army. And the shelling of Mazu and Kinmen was not happening all the time. It happened in 1954-55 and again in 1958. But in the meantime, there were times of relative peace. And what to do with a big army? And it's not good to let the men sit idle. They start to drink the good wine in Kinmen, and Kinmen Gaoliang is very famous. So it's best to employ them in a useful manner. And one of the great projects that Chiang Kai-shek did was to build this cross mountain highway. It's called a highway, but actually it's a road. So he built with the help of his large army a road across central Taiwan. So actually between Taichung and Hualien, through mountainous terrain that when you look at it, you think, no, this is impossible to make a road there, it's too dangerous. So actually hundreds of workers from his army died building this road. There is a temple dedicated to all these men who died doing this really extraordinary work. The temple is in the Taroko Gorge, more on the east side of Taiwan. It's quite beautiful. I have pictures on my blog about it, and it's one of the more picturesque temple in Taiwan that is a must-see if you come to the island, because it is right at the entrance of the Taroko Gorge, which is as its name would say, gorgeous, because it's really huge mountains of marble and a gorge going through there. It's really an amazing sight, and it was then also an amazing work to be able to build this highway or this road between the east and the west side of Taiwan. And one of the nicer places then that while the workers were building this road is in Lishan. And so Lishan is a town that is a bit at the cross of two roads. The one coming from Yilan, also there is an easier road that goes through the mountain from Yilan, already on the east coast, north of east coast, down to Lishan, and then the other road that they were building from Hualien to Taichung. And Lishan is this intersection of these two roads, so it's a bit a center. That's why this village is a bit larger than other places in that area. And just above Lishan is FuShou Shan. So it's it's just next to Lishan, but it's even a little bit higher. So it even has a little bit a better position. And so the FuShou Shan farm was founded in 1957, so 65 years ago. And because all these endeavor was made by the KMT government of Chiang Kai-shek, and he was using his army to do this. One thing I failed to mention is that many of the soldiers that were also building this place came from Yunnan. They were used to higher altitude, and they were a bit newcomers to Taiwan, because the fighting in Yunnan lasted for longer than in the rest of China. So they were a bit late in coming to Taiwan. They were still a bit in this fighting mood, And when they saw this place in Lishan and then FuShou Shan, they said, wow, this is really a beautiful place. This is a place we would like to live in Taiwan. And so, out of sentimental reasons and also because of the nice locations, the KMT, so the Kuomintang, this nationalist party that was a one-party government at that time in Taiwan, gave or sold for very little this place, FuShou Shan, and it became very close. A kind of government-controlled entity or KMT-controlled entity. I'm not privy to the exact financial dealings, but still, what's sure is because this was really the crown jewel in terms of location in this part of this road section. So it was really given to a company very close, with very close ties to Kuomintang, or maybe for a long time it was simply Kuomintang. And Chiang Kai-shek even came to visit and stayed in this place for vacationing and also to look how the work was going. So this explains why there are very close ties between the government party that was for a long time Kuomintang and FuShou Shan. And that's why when they started to make tea on that farm, this tea became the president's tea because they had this very close relationship between the party and this farm. So and also they knew this is really the top location, the best place to plant tea and to plant lots of other kinds of fruits. They are planting in this farm apples, also pears, and maybe the best are the shuemita, peaches. Really, they are large and gorgeous in summer, full of water and very, very sweet. And they can really cost a small fortune, but they are really, really delicious. And people come to FuShou Shan to buy these large apples, large pears, large peaches all around the year because the high mountain altitude and fresh air, bright sun is helping to grow foods more delicious than in lower elevation, just like tea. And that's why also later on they started to make high mountain oolong in this place, FuShou Shan, and then also all around Lishan tea also came, and then maybe 10 kilometers away from Lishan, towards the east, towards Hualien, we have then Daoling, which is maybe nowadays even more famous than Lishan and FuShou Shan, because for some time Daoling had the highest elevation, even higher than FuShou Shan. But maybe the difference between Daoling and FuShou Shan is these Daoling plantations, they are here and there, they were on leased lands. That's why some of these plantations were uprooted recently, a few years ago, because the lease ended and the government wanted to protect the land from erosion, so for environmental reasons. But FuShou Shan is really FuShou Shan farm, and it is operated in a very stable manner. It has so long time staff. It is almost like it's a bit more bureaucratic because it had for a long time these ties with the government, and so it works with more rules. You can feel that the management is more rigorous, and therefore, they pay really a great deal of attention to the quality of the products they're making, and for the tea farming, they are very really try to do their best to produce organically, or at least to reduce the pesticides to a minimum. It's never 100% organic, but the pesticides are really kept to a minimum, and the fertilizers are very little, because tea is only harvested twice a year, in spring and in winter. So the trees have more time to rest, and they use more biological, organic fertilizer. So I think I've made a general explanation of the farm FuShou Shan, where it is located, its history, how it is linked to the KMT government. So depending if you are against or for this government or this party, you will say, oh, it's unfair that they got this nice piece of land. Or on the other hand, you can say, well, they gave up, they sacrificed a lot of brave soldiers by building this road. So it's kind of fair also that they got the best location. So anyway, this is the fact now that this farm is there, and the history helps us to understand why it has this very close ties to the government. And actually it did not change when the government changed. Even when the Independence Party was in power, they still kept on purchasing the tea from this farm, because it is recognized as one of the very best in Taiwan, and it is very it's a very good gift for foreign visitors to receive this tea as the president's tea is really something special, and I'm going to drink it just now. Let's have a look. Maybe I should also say a few things about how to recognize FuShou Shan Oolong, because that's already enough. Because of course this is the packaging that I'm using. It's written FuShou Shan, but actually don't let this be proof that it comes from FuShou Shan, because these kind of bags, they are gongkai, that's they're public. Anyone can purchase a bag where it's written FuShou Shan, so this is not the proof that it is really from FuShou Shan. FuShou Shan also has, they came up with a green box. Now this is dialing, the green box, but FuShou Shan, they were the first one to start, and you had the picture of the FuShou Shan farm here. So here they've imitated it for dialing. But again, even if it comes from this packaging, does not necessarily mean it is from FuShou Shan. The FuShou Shan farm has a very nice factory to process oolong, and this factory can be rented to farmers who have tea farms or tea fields close by, but they don't have a processing plant, because not every farm needs its own processing. This would not make sense financially, because the land is quite small. So some of the farms are really quite small. You don't need to have equipment for every plantation. So what they're doing at FuShou Shan is they rent out also their manufacturing, and thereby farmers from around, from Lishan or Cuifeng, Cuiluan, they can process their leaves in the FuShou Shan plant, And then, of course, the temptation is great to brand these leaves processed at FuShou Shan as FuShou Shan Oolong, but actually they come from plantations nearby. Now, thanks to my long stay in Taiwan and my connections, the leaves I'm proposing are really from FuShou Shan. And they kept the stems. This year the stem is quite yellow, and apart from this, we'll see why they are so good. So again, we preheat our Gaiwan first. Let's do a Let's do some Gaiwan brewing, preheating the lid also. Okay, the lid is hot. Really just one level of leaves, and now I'm going to make the leaves swirl. Okay, they are dancing, and I'm closing the party so that heat is retained inside the Gaiwan better, and then the leaves are going to unfold much better. Also the turning also helps them to unfold. So now we wait, and so what else can we say about FuShou Shan? This batch was harvested, of course, always by hand on May 11th of this year. What is a bit special about the FuShou Shan plantation is they have installed large fans on the plantation. Plantations, I should say, because they are, it's not just one large plantation, it's several plantations around the farm. And on most of these tea fields, they have large fans. Now, what are they for? These fans to when it's too hot, they want to keep the leaves cool. Actually, it's more the opposite. It's when it gets too cold in the night. By using these fans, they are making the wind and the air go away, and by doing this, there is less chance of frost, which could damage the leaves at the early stage of growth in early spring. So the fans are not there to cool down the leaves, but much more to prevent that they become too cold. Okay, let's empty our cups. Also, please continue to give me thumbs up on Facebook and on YouTube especially, so that more people can find my video and learn about tea. You see the leaves have opened up completely, and now we can pour in the cups. A very light jade green color, very transparent, very shiny, Few broken leaves. Let's do this white for this tea. So this is one of the highest tea in Taiwan. It has therefore a very light oxidation level. This is really one of the top high mountain oolongs, top in both sense that it's really very high and very famous, and also very special, very delicious. Now this reminds me of a quote by passage by Proust explaining what is beauty. And he says, it was about book, says, oh, when you hear about, oh, this is a beautiful book, maybe what you do first in your mind is you make an, remember different beautiful books, and you try to come up with one average beautiful book. You try to first to see everything that a good book should be, what all the commonalities, a bit like what is a good movie, maybe also it works also for this. But he says, no, actually beauty is not by imagining many different beautiful things and doing an average of those to imagine a standard beauty. Beauty is always something that has individuality. It's something that is unique. What distinguishes one beautiful book from another is really its individuality. It's that it's completely different. It has a very original theme, a very original style, and this is also, I feel, the case for Li Shan Oolong, and therefore for FuShou Shan. FuShou Shan, one therefore would be tempted to think, oh, FuShou Shan, that's just, oh, I'm thinking of Li Shan, Ali Shan, Shan Lin Shi, and you try to make a recollection of what is nice about all these high mountain oolongs, and then you think, okay, FuShou Shan must be a bit, must be like this, but actually it has its own personality. It is much sweeter. It has much more depth and elegance than the other high mountain oolongs. It really has its own personality, and this is what makes it so special and so beautiful. And a purity which is difficult to match from low altitudes. This is we are 2,500 almost. This is as pure as it gets, and it has a lot of sweetness that and more elegance than on Dowling. Dowling, I feel, is more power. This is more about elegance and sweetness. So it is really something quite special. Okay, and okay, let me show you a bit the leaves. You see, I did not use so many leaves, and still already it was an amazing brew, and I will probably continue. But first, I thank you for those who have watched today's class. I hope you had interest in learning about FuShou Shan and FuShou Shan Oolong. And I say welcome to a new class next week, and we'll continue to talk about tea in our classes. Thank you very much. Bye bye.